So the leaks are here, and the chapter is amazing per usual, thanks to King GEGE. First and foremost, of course, we have to give thanks to Miyamura per usual, and we're gonna get into this very quickly. So like with all previous chapters, we kind of start with the shot of whatever was the last panel of the previous chapter, zoomed out onto a TV screen, and we see the reactions of the cast. Yuta reacts to Gojo's like nosebleed, I guess, and then we go straight back into the fight instead of seeing a bunch of characters' reactions like we usually see them. Gojo and Sukuna open their domains once more, and then Gojo just wipes off the nosebleed, not even caring much. Again, Gege Akutami kind of like baits and switches us with this, because I remember when Gojo's neck first got cut and we were all freaking out for that week, and then he just heals it back up like nothing's ever happened. We're making a big deal out of these little things, whereas these characters are just brushing them off like they're nothing. So on to the next page. Since Sukuna used domain expansion right away, Angel deduces that even Sukuna can regenerate the burnt out curse technique through reverse curse technique. Kusakabe says that Gojo once again has to deal damage to Sukuna so that he can't maintain his domain, just as Sukuna's domain would destroy Gojo's domain from the outside. Shoko asks to not deem this situation as unfavorable to Gojo. She's speaking to the fans here. If Sukuna is hit with the limited void's effect for just a few seconds, he'll be incapacitated. Gojo goes on to say that if Shrine collapses within 3 minutes, Gojo will win, the obvious outcome. Gojo begins his assault on Sukuna inside the domain, whereas Gojo is throwing and punching Sukuna all over the place. One thing I have to appreciate about this fight is that Gege Akutami always makes sure to give us a bunch of panels with no words, just pure hands. And of course, we got it this week once more. Gojo pulls Sukuna towards him and tries to land a punch, and then Sukuna blocks the next moment, but then we see Gojo's barrier breaking alongside Sukuna's shrine. Both Gojo and Sukuna's domain collapse at the same time once again, and Sukuna is left again with injuries. Meme then says, "Sheesh, don't make us feel this nervous." Miwa says, "If it comes to a battle inside the domain, Gojo is stronger." We knew this already, but then Yuji says, "He can win." Now, I'm sure that these translations are a little bit rough when it comes to the inside the domain, who's better type of thing, because I feel like if Gojo's domain had always been more refined, then he would have won the first clash, right? But we'll get more clarification when the chapter comes out. So after this, Gojo and Sukuna once again open their domains, but everyone notices that Gojo's domain was expanded a bit earlier than Sukuna's. Gojo then says that since Sukuna went on to heal his body, he was a little bit late to regenerate his burnt out curse technique. And even though it wasn't by 0.01 seconds, Sukuna's was still delayed, and as a consequence, Sukuna's malevolent shrine collapsed within 3 minutes of Gojo's barrier. Then Sukuna is finally hit by Gojo's unlimited void, but then Sukuna summons MAHORAGA. We see the huge monologue that is required with this summon. I treasure the ink, candle, sword, divergent, Sila, divine, general, MAHORAGA, Sukuna version. And this MAHORAGA is massive. I mean, seriously. In the page, it completely towers over Gojo. But then again, this is something we should have just been aware of, because all of Sukuna's other Shikigami were just massive, you know what I'm saying? For example, the new way that was used against Yuji, Maki, and Takaba back in chapter 213. Anyways, to conclude the chapter, Gojo's surprised, but he quickly gets ready to destroy MAHORAGA in a single hit before it can adapt to the unlimited void. Gojo tries to use the curse technique reversal, but MAHORAGA destroys Gojo's domain from the inside. Gojo is then shocked to realize that it's already adapting to the void. I'm just gonna get initial thoughts out of the way. I'll go into more in-depth review when obviously the chapter comes out for not officials, but you know what I'm saying. First and foremost, I really enjoy that the chapter feels like another tiny part of a massive chapter. If you don't know what I'm saying here, it's the fact that these chapters don't feel like their own. They all feel like there's just supposed to be one long red chapter of one single fight. And this allows me to enjoy the fight much more on a weekly basis than I would with any other fight, because again, it just feels like this is all part of one big saga. It doesn't feel like the fight can end any week. It feels like this can go on for another 20 chapters. It's so well written and so enjoyable. These back-to-back chapters flow so good into each other, and the fact that we're 7 chapters in and we're just getting Mahoraga, I mean, it says a lot about the quality of GEGE Akutami's writing and how we were so entertained by it for all these chapters, thinking that Mahoraga and the 10 Shadows were going to come 2 chapters into the fight. Take into account also that this is only one of the 10 Shadows and we barely got it throughout this entire chapter. I think that it's going to take GOJO a long time to run through the 10 Shadows gauntlet, probably like 3-4 chapters. Jujutsu Kaisen is also on break for the next week. Yeah, I guess every 3 weeks we get a break week after. It makes sense. I think that applies to like every Shonen Jump manga nowadays, which is good. Give these authors a break. Anyways, I'm gonna wrap this up here. I made it very quick as I'd like to reserve most of my thoughts for the chapter review. Anyways, if you enjoyed, thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Consider liking, subscribing, and peace.